If you have ever found beautiful little stones while walking through nature, you have probably wondered if any of those stones had any real value. Well, there are two possibilities in that situation. First, you ignored a common rock, or second, you walked right past a golden opportunity without even knowing it. But after all, no matter what kind of stone you find out there, how are you supposed to know which ones are valuable? Well, that is exactly what we are going to talk about in today's video, because here on the channel we have already talked about how to find many different types of gemstones in nature, including meteorites, which can look like ugly, ordinary rocks, but in rare cases may be extremely valuable and often get ignored by people who simply do not know what they're looking at. But with so many stones out there, it can be really hard to know which ones are valuable and which ones are just common rocks. That is why I made a list of 25 value gems that you can find in nature. If you pay close attention, you may eventually find at least one of these 25 stones during a simple walk through nature. And do not underestimate them, because some of these stones can be worth much more than most people imagine. And then you might ask yourself, but valuable how? Well, that depends on the quality, the color, the rarity, the size, and the condition of the stone. But some of them can absolutely attract the attention of collectors, lapidaries, jewelry makers, and people who work with the natural gemstones. But the advantage of these more accessible gems is not only in their individual value, it is also in their quantity. Because when you find one, many times you end up finding several others in the same place. Unlike the rarest precious stones, where you may need to search for a long time to find a single valuable piece, many semi-precious stones and lapidary materials can appear in greater quantities in the same location, so pay attention. Look carefully at every little stone you see in this video, because I am sure this is going to change the way you look at the ground. Besides that, these 25 stones are important because they can help you discover natural treasures that maybe nobody has ever noticed in your region. And as usual, this is one more video that will help you find and identify simple, beautiful stones with real value potential. That is why it is important for you to understand one thing. Every stone has its own kind of value, whether it is precious, semi-precious, or simply a lapidary material that most people ignore because they do not have the knowledge to recognize it. Because the value of a gemstone will always depend on the quality of the stone. In other words, the cleaner, brighter, more colorful, and more attractive a gem is, the more valuable it can become. Take emeralds as an example. Emeralds are very valuable stones. But there are emeralds with a visible green color that look opaque, cloudy, and not very bright. They are still real emeralds, and they may still have value. But a highly transparent emerald with a vivid green color can be much more valuable than a dull, fractured, cloudy one. And this same idea applies to more common stones as well. A simple agate can be cheap if it has no strong color or pattern, but an agate with beautiful bands, strong contrast, and a rare design can become a very interesting piece for collectors or lapidary work. So in this video, I want you to focus on something simple. Do not look only for the name of the stone, look for quality, look for color, look for transparency, look for patterns, look for stones that seem different from the others around them. Because in nature, valuable stones do not always appear as perfect gems ready to be placed in a ring. Many of them appear dirty, covered in dust, rounded by water, hidden inside ordinary-looking rocks, or mixed with thousands of other stones that look almost the same. And this is where knowledge makes all the difference. The first stone on this list is agate. Agate is one of the best stones for beginners because it can be found in many places, and it is often ignored by people who do not know what it looks like from the outside. Many agates do not look impressive when you first find them. Sometimes they look like dull, gray, brown, or reddish rounded stones. Some have a rough outer layer that hides everything inside, but when you cut or polish an agate, it can reveal bands, circles, waves, lines, transparent layers, and patterns that look like they were painted by nature. That is why agate is so popular among collectors, lapidaries, and people who make cabochons, pendants, beads, decorative pieces, and polished stones. The easiest way to recognize a possible agate is to look for a stone with a waxy surface, a hard feel, and sometimes a little translucency along the edges. If you wet the stone and the color becomes more intense, that is also a good sign. And if you can see banding, even better. Agates are commonly found in riverbeds, gravel bars, volcanic regions, and areas where ancient cavities in rocks were filled with silica over time. The important thing to remember is that not every agate will be valuable. Common agates are easy to find in some regions, but agates with strong color, clean banding, unusual patterns, large size, and good polishing potential can be very desirable. And sometimes the most ordinary-looking stone on the outside can hide an incredible pattern on the inside. The second stone is jasper. Jasper is one of those stones that can fool beginners because it often looks like a simple colored rock. But when you start paying attention, you realize that jasper can be one of the most artistic materials in nature. Jasper can be red, yellow, brown, green, cream, gray, orange, purple, black, or a mixture of several colors. Some pieces look like landscapes. Others look like fire, wood, ocean waves, desert scenes, maps, or abstract paintings. That is why jasper is so popular in lapidary work. It is not usually valued because of transparency, because jasper is mostly opaque. Its value comes from color, pattern, hardness, stability, and visual impact. If you are walking in nature and find a stone with strong color, especially red, yellow, green, or mixed patterns, wet it and look again. A dry piece of jasper may look dull, but once wet, the colors can become much more visible. And here is a practical rule. The more interesting the pattern, the more commercial the stone can become. A plain brown jasper may not attract much attention, but a jasper with strong contrast, clean patterns, and a beautiful natural design can be used for cabochons, slabs, knife handles, jewelry, and display pieces. The third stone is chalcedony. Chalcedony is a smooth, hard, often waxy-looking material that belongs to the quartz family. It can be white, gray, blue, brown, yellow, orange, green, or almost colorless. Many people confuse chalcedony with agate, jasper, or other forms of microcrystalline quartz, and that is completely normal because these materials are closely related. But for a beginner, the important thing is this. Chalcedony usually has a smooth texture, a soft waxy luster, and in many cases some level of translucency. If you hold a piece against a flashlight and the edges allow light to pass through, that is a strong sign that the stone may be chalcedony or a related material. Common gray or brown chalcedony may not be worth much, but blue chalcedony, green chalcedony, purple chalcedony, and clean translucent pieces can be very attractive. Chalcedony is often used for cabochons, beads, carvings, and polished stones. And because it can appear in many different environments, it is one of those stones that a beginner should learn to recognize early. Sometimes it does not shout for attention. It does not sparkle like a diamond. It does not glow like a ruby. But when polished, a good piece of chalcedony can look soft, elegant, and surprisingly beautiful. The fourth stone is carnelian. Carnelian is a warm-colored variety of chalcedony, usually orange, reddish-orange, brownish-orange, or honey-colored. This is one of the most beautiful stones for beginners because it can look almost alive when you hold it up to the light. A rough carnelian can look like a simple brown or orange pebble, but when you place a flashlight behind it, the stone may glow from within with a warm honey-like color. That inner glow is one of the best clues. Carnelian can be found in rivers, gravel deposits, and regions where chalcedony and agate occur. The best pieces are translucent, richly colored, and not too fractured. And here is something interesting. Many people walk right past carnelian because they see only a brownish stone on the ground. But once that same stone is cleaned, cut, or polished, it can become a beautiful gem material. The value depends on color and clarity. A dull, cracked piece may be common, but a clean orange or red carnelian with strong translucency can be used in rings, pendants, beads, and collectible stones. The fifth stone is clear quartz, and I know what you may be thinking. Quartz is everywhere, so how can it be valuable? Well, common broken quartz may not be worth much, but clear quartz crystals with good shape, strong luster, transparency, and minimal damage can be very attractive to collectors. Quartz can appear in veins, cavities, pegmatites, river gravels, and many different geological environments. It is one of the most abundant minerals on Earth, but that does not mean every piece is the same. A crystal with sharp faces, a complete termination, good transparency, and no major fractures is much more interesting than a random broken chunk. Some quartz crystals also contain inclusions. These inclusions can be tiny needles, internal veils, bubbles, mineral particles, or strange formations that make each crystal unique. So when you find quartz in nature, do not ignore it automatically. Look at the shape, look at the clarity, look at the surface, look at the internal features. A simple piece may be nothing special, but a clean natural crystal can absolutely be collectible. The sixth stone is amethyst. Amethyst is the purple variety of quartz and one of the most famous gemstones in the world. It can range from very light lilac to deep violet purple. And even though amethyst is not as rare as some people think, beautiful pieces still have value. Amethyst can be found in geodes, volcanic rocks, veins, cavities, and sometimes in river gravels after being released from its original source. The most valuable amethyst usually has strong color, good transparency, and attractive crystal formation. Very pale, fractured, or damaged pieces are common and usually less valuable. But deep purple crystals with good brightness can be highly desirable. For beginners, the main thing is to notice purple stones that have a glassy luster. If the stone is translucent and hard, it may be worth separating for later identification. In riverbeds, amethyst can lose its sharp crystal shape and become rounded over time. So do not look only for perfect crystal points. Sometimes a small purple pebble can be a worn piece of amethyst. The seventh stone is smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is a brown, gray, or almost black variety of quartz. It can look like a crystal filled with smoke, tea, or dark glass. Many people ignore it because it does not have a bright color like amethyst or citrine, but good smoky quartz can be very beautiful. The best pieces are transparent or translucent, with a clean smoky color and good crystal shape. Very dark pieces can look almost black, but when held against strong light, they may reveal a brown or gray transparency inside. Smoky quartz can be found in many of the same environments as clear quartz, especially in veins and pegmatites. The key is to separate dark crystals from ordinary black rocks. A smoky quartz crystal should have a glassy luster, a hard surface, and some transparency when light passes through it. A good smoky quartz point can be used for display, jewelry, or lapidary work, and larger, clean pieces can be especially attractive. The eighth stone is rose quartz. Rose quartz is known for its soft pink color. It can range from almost white with a hint of pink to a stronger rose tone. Unlike clear quartz, rose quartz often appears in massive chunks instead of perfect crystal points. It is commonly associated with pegmatites, where it may appear with quartz, feldspar, mica, and other minerals. Many people recognize rose quartz after it is polished, but in the field it may look pale, rough, and not very impressive. That is why you need to pay attention to color. If you find a hard, glassy to slightly waxy stone with a pink tone, it is worth taking a closer look. Rose quartz is popular because it is easy to understand visually. People like the color. It is used in beads, carvings, spheres, cabochons, decorative pieces, and jewelry. The value depends on color, size, clarity, and how clean the material is. A pale, fractured piece may be common, but a large piece with a pleasant pink color and good polishing potential can be commercially useful. The ninth stone is citrine. Citrine is the yellow to golden variety of quartz. Natural citrine can be much less common than clear quartz, smoky quartz, or amethyst. It can appear in pale yellow, golden yellow, honey, or brownish yellow tones. Here you need to be careful because a lot of citrine sold in the market is actually heat-treated amethyst. That does not mean it is useless, but it does mean that natural citrine should be identified carefully. For someone searching in nature, the practical rule is simple. If you find a quartz crystal or quartz fragment with a natural yellow, golden, or honey color, do not ignore it. The best citrine has good transparency, an attractive color, and few fractures. It may appear in veins, pegmatites, and areas where quartz crystals occur. A pale yellow stone may not look impressive at first, but after cleaning and polishing, it can become much more attractive. And because yellow quartz is less common in nature than ordinary clear quartz, it deserves attention. The 10th stone is aventurine. Aventurine is usually green, but it can also appear in orange, brown, gray, blue, or other tones. What makes aventurine special is the shimmering effect caused by tiny mineral inclusions inside the stone. When you turn a good piece of aventurine under light, you may see tiny sparkling reflections. It can look like natural glitter trapped inside the rock. Green aventurine is the most famous variety. In rough form, it may look like an ordinary green stone, but after polishing, the shimmer and color become much more visible. Aventurine is used in beads, cabochons, carvings, small sculptures, and decorative objects. It is not usually extremely expensive, but good material can be very marketable because people like its color and sparkle. If you are in nature and find a green stone that is hard, compact, and slightly glittery when wet or turned under the light, keep it for closer examination. The 11th stone is fluorite. Fluorite can be one of the most beautiful minerals for collectors because it appears in colors like purple, green, blue, yellow, clear, pink, and sometimes multiple colors in the same crystal. Unlike quartz, fluorite is softer, so it scratches more easily and needs more care, but that does not make it less interesting. Beautiful fluorite crystals can be very desirable for mineral collectors. One of the most recognizable features of fluorite is its tendency to form cubic crystals. So if you find a colorful mineral with flat faces and cube-like shapes, fluorite is one possibility. It can be found in veins, old mining areas, and hydrothermal deposits. For jewelry, fluorite is not ideal for rough daily use because of its softness. But for display pieces, collections, carvings, and occasional jewelry, it can be very attractive. The value depends on color, clarity, crystal shape, size, and damage. A broken, dull piece may not be worth much, but a clean purple, green, or multicolored crystal can be beautiful. The 12th stone is garnet. Garnet is one of the most interesting gems for people who search in riverbeds and heavy mineral deposits. It usually appears as red, wine-colored, brownish red, or dark reddish grains in crystals, but some varieties can also be green, orange, or other colors. Many garnets are small, but they are dense and resistant, which means they can survive in river gravels and concentrate with other heavy minerals. If you are panning or looking through dark sands in a creek, you may find tiny red grains that shine under sunlight. Those could be garnets. Common small garnets may not be very valuable, but transparent crystals with good color and size can have gem value. Some garnets are also collectible as mineral specimens when they have good crystal shape. The trick is to look for small red or wine-colored stones that seem heavier than expected and have a glassy to slightly resinous luster. Hold them against a strong light. If the stone shows internal color and some transparency, it may be more interesting than it first appears. The 13th stone is peridot. Peridot is the gem variety of olivine, usually known for its green color. It can be olive green, yellow green, lime green, or slightly brownish green. Peridot often forms in volcanic environments, especially in certain basalts and related rocks. In some places, small green crystals can be seen inside dark volcanic rock. For a beginner, this contrast is a useful clue. If you see a dark rock with small green grains inside it, those grains could be olivine. Not all olivine is gem quality, but some pieces may be interesting. The best peridot has a pleasant green color, good transparency, and few fractures. It is not as hard as quartz, so it should be handled carefully. In nature, peridot may appear as small grains or fragments, and large clean pieces are less common. But because the color is distinctive, it is a good gemstone to learn about. If you find a transparent green stone in a volcanic area, especially one with a bright olive or yellow-green tone, do not ignore it. The 14th stone is sunstone. Sunstone is a feldspar gemstone that can appear in orange, red, golden, greenish, or clear tones. Some pieces contain tiny metallic inclusions that create a sparkling internal effect. This effect is what makes sunstone so attractive. A piece may look plain at first, but when turned under light, it can flash with coppery, golden, or reddish reflections. Sunstone can be found in certain volcanic and feldspar-rich environments. In rough form, it may look like a simple crystal fragment, but the internal shimmer can reveal its potential. The value depends on color, transparency, size, and the strength of the aventurescence, which is the glittering effect inside the stone. A pale feldspar fragment may not be worth much, but a clean orange or red sunstone with strong internal sparkle can be very desirable. So, if you find a feldspar-like stone with warm color and internal flashes, separate it and examine it carefully. The 15th stone is moonstone. Moonstone is another feldspar gemstone, but instead of sparkling like sunstone, it is known for a soft glow that seems to float inside the stone. This glow is called a dolorescence. The best moonstones can show a white, silver, or blue sheen that moves as the stone is turned. In rough form, however, moonstone can look very ordinary. It may appear milky, grayish, beige, or translucent without much obvious beauty. That is why beginners often miss it. Moonstone is usually cut as a cabochon because the rounded shape helps reveal the floating glow. The value depends on body color, transparency, size, and the strength and color of the sheen. A strong blue sheen is especially attractive. In the field, look for pale stones with a soft, pearly luster, a milky appearance, and an internal glow when wet or turned in the light. It may not reveal everything immediately, but if the effect is there, a lapidary can bring it out with the right cut. The 16th stone is amazonite. Amazonite is a blue-green to green feldspar that can be very beautiful when it has a strong color. It may look turquoise, mint green, aqua, or soft blue-green. Amazonite is often associated with pegmatites, where it can occur with quartz, feldspar, mica, and sometimes smoky quartz. In rough form, it can appear as chunks or crystals with flat cleavage surfaces. The color is usually the biggest clue. If you find a hard blue-green stone in an area with pegmatite minerals, it deserves attention. Good amazonite can be used for cabochons, beads, decorative slabs, carvings, and polished stones. The value depends on color intensity, size, pattern, and how fractured the material is. Some amazonite has white streaks or patterns. This can either add visual interest or reduce value depending on the piece. A strong, clean blue-green amazonite can be very attractive after polishing, and because the color is easy to recognize, it is one of the best feldspar gems for beginners to study. The 17th stone is topaz. Topaz is a much more important gem than many beginners realize. It can be colorless, blue, yellow, golden, brown, pink, or other colors depending on conditions and treatment. In nature, topaz may appear in pegmatites, rhyolites, cavities, and certain mineralized areas. Some topaz crystals can also be found in stream gravels after weathering out of their host rock. One challenge is that colorless topaz can be confused with quartz. But topaz has its own crystal habits, luster, and physical properties. It is also harder than quartz, although it has cleavage and can break if hit in the wrong direction. For a beginner, the best approach is to pay attention to transparent crystals that look different from ordinary quartz. If a crystal is very clear, glassy, well-formed, and appears in an area known for topaz or pegmatite minerals, it is worth saving for identification. The value depends on color, clarity, size, and whether the stone can be cut. Blue topaz in the market is often treated, but natural topaz specimens in certain colors can still be very desirable. The 18th stone is tourmaline. Tourmaline is one of the most exciting gemstone families because it can appear in almost every color. It can be black, green, pink, red, blue, yellow, brown, or multicolored. Some crystals even show 2 or more colors in the same piece. For beginners, the crystal shape is one of the best clues. Tourmaline often forms long prismatic crystals with vertical striations, which are lines running along the length of the crystal. Black tourmaline is common in many pegmatites and metamorphic rocks. It may not be a high-value gem in most cases, but it can help indicate the right type of geological environment. Colored tourmalines are much more valuable when transparent, clean, and bright. If you find long crystals with a glassy to slightly resinous luster, especially in pegmatite areas with quartz and mica, pay attention. A black crystal may be squirrel, the common black tourmaline. A green, pink, blue, or multicolored crystal may be much more interesting. Even small fragments of colored tourmaline can be collectible if the color is strong. The 19th stone is beryl. Beryl is the mineral family that includes famous gemstones like aquamarine, emerald, morganite, heliodor, and goshenite. Now, let us be realistic. Finding a high-quality emerald is not easy. It is rare, and most people will never find one casually. But beryl as a mineral can occur in pegmatites in different forms, and some pieces can be valuable if they have good color and clarity. Aquamarine is the blue to blue-green variety of beryl. Morganite is pink to peach. Heliodor is yellow to golden. Goshenite is colorless. Emerald is green, colored mainly by trace elements. Beryl often forms prismatic crystals, sometimes with a hexagonal shape. In rough form, some pieces may look pale, cloudy, or not very impressive, but the crystal shape can be a clue. If you're in a pegmatite area and find a six-sided crystal with a pale blue, green, yellow, or pink color, it deserves careful attention. The value depends heavily on transparency, color, size, and condition. Opaque common beryl may not be worth much, but clean aquamarine or morganite can be valuable. The 20th stone is opal. Opal is one of the most fascinating stones in the world because it can look completely different from one piece to another. It can be white, yellow, orange, brown, blue, green, clear, milky, or show flashes of many colors. The most famous opals are precious opals, which display play of color. That means they show flashes of red, green, blue, yellow, or other colors that move as the stone turns under light. But not every opal has play of color. Common opal can still be attractive because of its body color, translucency, and smooth texture. In rough form, opal can look waxy, glassy, plastic-like, or milky. Some pieces look like ordinary light-colored stones until they are cleaned and examined. Opal can occur in cracks, nodules, volcanic environments, as sedimentary settings, and altered rocks, depending on the region. The value depends on type, stability, color, pattern, brightness, and whether the stone cracks or dries out. Some opals are sensitive to heat and sudden changes in moisture, so they should be handled carefully. If you find a lightweight-looking, smooth, waxy stone with unusual color or flashes inside, take a closer look. The 21st stone is turquoise. Turquoise is one of the most recognizable gems because of its blue to blue-green color. It can range from sky blue to greenish blue, and many pieces contain dark veins from the host rock, often called matrix. Turquoise forms in specific geological conditions, often in dry regions where copper-rich minerals alter over time. That means it does not occur everywhere, but where it does occur, it can be found as veins, nodules, or fillings in rock. The value depends on color, hardness, stability, size, and the beauty of the matrix. A strong blue color is often desirable, but some people love turquoise with natural dark matrix patterns. Beginners need to be careful because turquoise is heavily imitated and treated in the market. Many blue-green stones can be mistaken for it. So if you find a blue-green stone in nature, do not immediately assume it is turquoise. But if the geology makes sense and the stone has the right color and texture, save it for a proper identification. Natural, stable turquoise with good color can be very valuable compared to its size. The 22nd stone is jade. Jade is a name used mainly for two different materials, jadeite and nephrite. Jadeite is generally rarer and can be extremely valuable and high quality. Nephrite is often more accessible and can still be beautiful and desirable. For this video, the most realistic type for many rockhounds to search for is nephrite jade. Jade does not usually look like a sparkling, transparent gem. It is more subtle. It can be green, dark green, gray-green, white, yellowish, blackish-green, or even mottled. What makes jade special is its toughness, smooth texture, and ability to take a beautiful polish. In river environments, jade pieces can become rounded and may have a dark, weathered outer surface that hides a better color inside. A possible jade stone may feel dense, compact, smooth, and very tough. When wet, it may show a waxy to greasy luster. But jade is difficult for beginners because many green rocks can imitate it. Serpentine, green quartz, aventurine, and other materials can look similar at first glance, so do not identify a green stone as jade too quickly. Instead, treat it as a candidate, study it, compare it, and if it seems promising, have it tested. The 23rd stone is sapphire. Sapphire is one of the most famous precious stones, but in nature it does not always look like the bright blue gem people imagine. Sapphire is a variety of corundum. It is extremely hard and resistant, which allows it to survive in rivers and gravel deposits. While blue is the most famous color, sapphires can also be yellow, green, pink, purple, gray, or nearly colorless. In some regions, small sapphires can be found in alluvial deposits, especially in heavy mineral gravels. A rough sapphire may look like a small dull pebble or crystal. It may be dark blue, grayish, greenish, or even almost black, but its density, hardness, and luster can make it stand out. For beginners, the key is to pay attention to small, heavy stones in gravel, especially those with blue, gray, or unusual colors. If the stone resists scratching and seems denser than common pebbles, it may deserve testing. High-quality sapphires are not easy to find, but the possibility exists in the right geological areas. And even small stones can be exciting because corundum is one of the most important gem minerals in the world. The 24th stone is obsidian. Obsidian is natural volcanic glass. Technically, it is not a mineral crystal like quartz or garnet, but it is a valuable lapidary material and has been used by humans for thousands of years. Obsidian can be black, brown, reddish, greenish, or show special effects like golden sheen, silver sheen, rainbow sheen, or snowflake patterns. It forms when volcanic lava cools so quickly that crystals do not have time to grow. Because of this, obsidian breaks with curved glassy fractures, similar to broken bottle glass. In the field, obsidian is usually easy to recognize because of its glassy luster and sharp edges. But you need to be careful, because broken obsidian can cut skin easily. Common black obsidian may not be worth much, but pieces with special sheens, strong patterns, or large clean areas can be desirable for cabochons, carvings, knives, display pieces, and jewelry. If you are in a volcanic region and find a shiny black glassy stone with smooth curved fractures, it may be obsidian. The 25th stone is petrified wood. Petrified wood may not be a gemstone in the classic sense, but it is absolutely a valuable lapidary material when it has good color, pattern, and preservation. Petrified wood forms when ancient wood is gradually replaced by minerals over time, often silica. The result is a stone that can still show wood grain, growth rings, bark patterns, and organic textures. Some pieces are dull and common, others are incredibly colorful, with reds, yellows, browns, blacks, creams, oranges, and even purples. The easiest clue is pattern. If a stone looks like wood but feels hard, heavy, and stone-like, it may be petrified wood. Good petrified wood can be cut and polished into slabs, cabochons, decorative pieces, bookends, spheres, and collector specimens. But this is one material where legal rules are especially important. In many places, collecting petrified wood is restricted or completely prohibited, especially in parks and protected areas. Always check local rules before taking anything. If collection is allowed and you find a piece with strong color and clear wood structure, it can be one of the most beautiful natural materials you will ever polish. Now that we have gone through these 25 stones, you may have noticed something important. Nature does not separate valuable gems from common rocks in neat little boxes. Everything is mixed together. A valuable piece of agate may be sitting beside a worthless pebble. A small garnet may be hidden in dark sand. A piece of quartz may be common, while another one nearby may be clean enough for a collection. A dull-looking stone may reveal color after being wet, and a simple rounded pebble may have bands, patterns, or transparency that nobody noticed. That is why the real secret is not just luck. The real secret is learning how to observe. Most people look at the ground and see only dirt, gravel, and rocks. But when you start learning gemology, you begin to see clues. You notice colors that do not match the surrounding stones, and shapes that seem different. And little by little, a normal walk becomes a search. If you find agates, you may be near volcanic rocks or old silica-rich environments. If you find quartz, mica, and feldspar together, you may be near pegmatites. If you find garnets in heavy sand, you may be seeing minerals concentrated by water. If you find greenstones in the right geological setting, you may have material worth testing. If you find rounded translucent stones in a river, you may be looking at chalcedony, carnelian quartz, or even something more interesting. But it is also important to be realistic. Most stones you find will not make you rich. Many will have only personal, educational, or decorative value, and that is perfectly fine. The goal is not to pick up every rock expecting a fortune. The goal is to train your eye so that when a truly different stone appears, you do not ignore it. Because that is where beginners lose the most, not because they never walk near valuable stones, but because they do not recognize them when they do. If you want to start in a simple way, you do not need expensive equipment. A small flashlight, a pocket loupe, a cloth, a bottle of water, and a few small bags are already enough to begin observing better. Wet the stone to see its real color. Hold it against light to check translucency. Look for bands, spots, internal glow, crystal faces, unusual weight, and a surface that looks different from common rock. Keep promising samples separated so they do not scratch each other. And always write down where you found them because location matters. Also, never trespass. Do not enter private property without permission. Do not collect in parks, protected areas, active mines, or restricted land. And if you plan to sell anything, learn the rules first, because collecting for personal use and collecting for commercial purposes can be treated differently depending on the place. When you stop and think about it, all the stones we've talked about here share something in common. They can be found by ordinary people in accessible places, often without the need for heavy machinery or professional mining. Luck can play a role, but what really makes the difference is knowledge. If possible, consult a geologist or an experienced prospector in your area before you start searching. Because knowing where to look, how to read the local geology, and most importantly, how to recognize what you're holding, is what separates someone who just picks up a strange rock from someone who discovers a real treasure. And that's exactly why we created the Gemology Journey for Beginners training. It was designed for newcomers, for people who can't rely on a professional, with simple and practical explanations that teach you how to identify and distinguish gemstones using accessible, at-home methods without needing to invest in expensive equipment. This training can help you better understand what you're finding in nature, recognize the main signs of valuable stones, and avoid confusing ordinary rocks with materials that may actually deserve closer attention. Of course, if right now isn't the moment for you to join the training or become a channel member, that's totally fine. You can still subscribe for free and follow along with our upcoming videos, which always bring practical tips on how to identify and find valuable stones. In the next episode, for example, we'll talk about diamonds and answer a question I get almost every day. Why are they so valuable, and where can you actually look for them in nature? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss any of the upcoming content. Good luck, Gem Hunter.